Hello learners. Now that we have seen the basics of vector, the basics of vector calculus and vector algebra, let us in this video see how the vectors can be represented in component form and also dealt like that. We need this component form representation because in electromagnetic theory, in numerical problems, you will see all the vectors in this form only, and we have to deal with them like that. Let us say that we have three axes x, y, z, and these three axes make rectangular coordinate system. The axis x that you see here is the axis that is coming out of the screen. We consider this axis to be coming out of the screen. This axis y goes upwards. It actually elevates anything from the xy plane, and this is the xy plane that you can see here. This is the xy plane. So this coordinate system is known as right-handed coordinate system, and we use this right-handed coordinate system everywhere in the electromagnetic theory. Some might use different coordinate system in different subjects, but here in EMT, in all the books, in all the literature, you will see this coordinate system only. So let us consider that in this coordinate system there is a point P which has points x, y, z. It is its location, and in every coordinate system we have an origin which is located at 0, 0, 0. So if we use a vector which starts from 0, from point O, and reaches to point P, and this vector is obviously denoted by an arrow. Let us name it as A. This vector is called a position vector. A position vector is the first vector that you will see that is introduced in electromagnetic theory, and it is needed to locate a coordinate. So in vector system, if you want to locate a coordinate, you need a position vector. It is the bare minimum first vector that you will see. So how we come to this vector? Let us see here. Let us imagine that there was an object located here at origin, and it started moving towards x, and it moved 3 units in x direction. Then after that, from here it moves towards right in y direction, and it moved 4 units from here. And then after that, let's say this point was here on the base xy plane, and then it started moving upwards and it reached to point P, let's say. So the elevation that it took was maybe 5 units. So the final position that it acquired was P 3, 4, 5. These 3, 4, 5 correspond to this x, y, z variables. So if we want to write a vector which is locating this point P, we have to write like this. In our example that we took, AX is 3, AY is 4, and AZ is 5. So AX, AY and AZ will tell us the distance this point has traveled in x, y and z direction respectively. And obviously we are talking about directions. So these are the directions. Unit vectors show us the directions. That is why they are actually attached to their corresponding unit vectors. They are not attached to anything else. So 3 attached to AX will tell us 3 units in x direction, 4 units in y direction, and 5 units in AZ direction. So units can be anything, meter, centimeter, kilometer, depending upon the problem. So after this, let us see again another example. We have a point P 1, 2, 3. To locate this point P, we need to find its distance from x direction. Here it is 1. Then from y direction it is 2. And in z direction it is 3. So that is why in their respective positions of x, y, z, we have written 1, 2 and 3. So to make a vector out of this, to make a position vector out of this, we have to do like this. We have to subtract our point P coordinates with the origin coordinates. So here it is 1, 2, 3, and we know at the origin it is 0, 0, 0. So what we are doing? We are doing 1 minus 0 in AX, 2 minus 0 AY, and 3 minus 0 az. Here we have done it. So that is how we are going to achieve a resultant position vector like this. So the resultant vector is ax, 2ay and 3az. So once we are done with the position vector, we have to see another vector which is known as displacement vector. So let's say we have now 2 points. One is point A and one is point B. From point A, let's say that there is an object which moved from this point A to point B. To show the displacement or the movement of this vector, of this object, we have a vector which is known as displacement vector. So this displacement vector not only tells the distance this object has moved, it also tells us the direction in which this object has moved. So again, this is a new vector, but we have to define it using the old vector that we have seen. So the old vector was position vector. So to locate the point A, we have the position vector RA. To locate point B, we have position vector RB. So to find out this new kind of vector, displacement vector, we have to subtract this position vector RA from the position vector RB. So if we had the coordinates of B as, let's say, 1, 2, 3 and the coordinates of A as 5, 7, 8, we have to subtract their respective points. X subtracted by X, Y subtracted by Y and Z subtracted by Z. So the main thing we need to take care is, we have to keep in mind is that the position vector which is denoting the arrowhead will be kept first in subtraction and the tail position vector will be kept second. So we are doing head subtracted by tail. This is the most necessary step we have to take care in every vector. If we want to find out the resultant vector, displacement vector, we have to subtract the coordinates of arrowhead minus the coordinates of arrow tail, or we can say that we have to subtract the tail coordinates from the head coordinates. So what we are doing here, we are doing B minus A, not A minus B. So in the same theme, now that we are aware about the component form of vector, let us see that what all algebraic operations that we can perform using this component form. Let's say we have a vector A and we have another vector B. A is represented as again Ax, Ay, Az along with the unit vectors, and B is also represented in the same way. So if we want to add these two vectors in component form, we have to do something like this. Addition and subtraction will happen like this only. We have to actually add or subtract their corresponding coefficients of X, corresponding coefficients of Y and corresponding coefficients of Z. Then only we will get a new vector which is the addition or subtraction of these two vectors. Now let's see some unit vector operations. We know that two vectors can be multiplied, but they can be multiplied using dot product form and cross product form. So let's say we have two unit vectors, Ax and Ax, Ay, Ay. So if we want to multiply two same vectors, two same unit vectors, we know that the dot product has a cos term, and we know that a unit vector, if we want to multiply the unit vectors, if let's say this A and B are unit vectors, the magnitude of unit vector is always 1. So this will be 1 and this will also be 1. So this will not have any effect. We'll have to focus on cos theta. What is the angle between two parallel or two same vectors? So the angle between Ax and Ax will be 0 degree. And Ay also will have angle 0 degree. Az will also have 0 degree. So cos of 0 is what? Cos of 0 degree is 1. So that is why we are getting answer 1 here. So if you multiply two same unit vectors or two unit vectors which are parallel to each other, you will also always get answer 1. and then if you multiply two vectors which are orthogonal or perpendicular to each other, you will get answer 0, because cos of 90 degree is 0. That is why we are getting 0 every time here. And let's now come to the cross product. The cross product we know has a sine term in the last. So the sine of 0 degree, if let's say there is a cross product of two vectors which are parallel to each other. So the parallel vectors will have angle 0 degree. So the sine of 0 will be 0. And if two vectors which are perpendicular to each other, if they have 90 degree or if they are perpendicular to each other, so we have the answer 1, because sine of 90 degree is 1. So we know that the direction x and direction y will always be perpendicular. So we'll get a third vector which is az. Why we are getting third vector? Because of this part. Sine theta will be 1. Sine 90 degree will be 1. A and B will also be 1. So what we are left with? We are left with only the direction. And a cross product will always result in the perpendicular direction. A direction which is perpendicular to both AX and AY. So AZ is perpendicular to both AX and AY. That is why we are getting the answer AX. Again, if you cross multiply AY and AZ, you will get answer AX. This should be X. And if you multiply Z from X, you will get answer AY. So what we are getting here, we are getting the third direction, and the third direction is always perpendicular to the rest of the two directions. And there is one catch here. If you cross multiply two unit vectors in opposite direction, if you don't follow this orientation, if you don't multiply x and y, then y with z, then z with x, if you do it in an opposite manner, you interchange x and y here, you write y first and then x afterwards. So the opposite cross multiplication of the unit vectors will result in the minus the opposite direction unit vectors. So AZ is not going upwards now. Now AZ is the direction which is going downwards. AX, which usually points outwards from the screen, it is now going inside of the screen. And AY, which always points towards the right, now it is following its opposite direction, that is on the left direction. So if you want to remember that what would be the answer of AX, AY cross multiplication, AY, AZ cross multiplication, or any multiplication, any unit vector multiplication, you need to learn this cycle diagram. So the orientation of multiplication should always be from x to y, from y to z, or then from z to x. So if you multiply AX then AY, you will get answer AZ. So if you multiply AY and AZ, you will get the answer AX, as you can see here as well. So this cycle is following this positive multiplication method. And if you oppose this cycle, if you any point of time you cross multiply AX from AZ, rather than writing positive AY, you have to write negative AY here. So if you remember the positive multiplying order, you will definitely remember the reverse multiplying order also. So we need to keep this multiplying order in mind when we are cross multiplying two vectors. So now coming to actual multiplication, see, we have seen that we have two vectors, let's say A and B, and they had coefficients AX, AY, AZ and BX, BY, BZ respectively. And we have seen that in the previous slide, we have seen that multiplying two similar vectors, two similar unit vectors will only result in 1. If you multiply any orthogonal vector, because we only have three vectors here which are all orthogonal to each other, so if a unit vector is not multiplied with each other, it will be multiplied by a perpendicular vector. So we'll get answer 0. So that is why you can see here that we are getting the multiplication, the actual scalar multiplication of only the corresponding direction coefficients. So ax is multiplied by bx, ay is multiplied by by, and az is multiplied by bz. So we are not getting any other permutation combination that ax is multiplied by az or something like that. So we are getting this kind of answer only. So to dot multiply two vectors which are written in their component form is very easy. Let's say we have a vector 2ax, then 3ay and 4az. If we want to multiply another vector with this, let's say 3ax plus 2ay then 5az, what we need to do is we have to multiply 2 and 3, then we have to multiply then 3 and 2, yeah, then we have to multiply 4 with 5, and we have to add all these. Let's say 3 to the 6, then 6, then 20. What we'll get? We'll get 32 here. So this is how we are going to dot multiply two vectors. And to multiply two vectors in cross product form, a little bit of effort has to be taken. What we'll do, we'll arrange vector A and B in a matrix form, in a discriminant matrix form. So ax, ay and az are kept on the second row, bx, by, bz are kept on the last row, and ax, ay, az, which are the unit vectors which are present both in A and B, are kept in the first row. To find out the answer of the multiplication, let's see first this unit vector ax. This is our result that we are going to calculate. What we have done is to find out the coefficients of ax, we have cross multiplied first ay bz and then az by. See this, ay bz and az by. Then after that, to find out the coefficients of az, which is here, we have to multiply ax by, then after that ay bx, like this. And to do the center multiplication, to find out the coefficients of the central term that is ay, we have to cross multiply first ax bx, az bx, then ax bz. We have to, in the central term, we have to multiply the coefficients in opposite order, from right to left and then afterwards from left to right. That we need to keep in mind. Or if you multiply them in right order, first from left to right and then from right to left, you have to place a negative sign here. So that is what we need to keep in mind. And with practice, you will be very familiar with this formula. It is very easy and this will be used very frequently. And let's see some more things. We have seen that a vector can be multiplied by a constant quantity as well. So if, for example, we have a vector ax plus 2ay, then 3az, and if we want to multiply this complete vector with a constant 2, what will happen? We will simply multiply this 2 with every term, and this is the answer that you will get. So a vector can be multiplied by a constant coefficient also, and it will do nothing but double the size of this vector. And similarly, this vector again can be divided by 2 and you will get again this vector back. So if we have a constant numerical term like this 2 here, we can simply multiply it with all the coefficients which are present here in a vector. So that is all for this video. We'll see some more details. Maybe perhaps we'll start seeing the coordinate system from the next video onwards. For this video, goodbye, take care.